So I know you're arriving in this module wanting some strategy, wanting some skills. How can I do conflict better? Well, I'm not giving it to you. Not until I've fixed the mess that we've created in our heads in schools over the last few years around conflict. There are two big attitudes that we need to adjust. We need an attitude adjustment when it comes to conflict before we can get into selecting strategy that's going to be really useful to you. And the first attitude adjustment is around this preventative attitude that we have to conflict. We have this idea that conflict's awful. It's negative, it's terrible, we can't have it, we need to prevent it at all possible costs, and it's not a great attitude to have. I don't know about you, I even think that the best relationships have a little bit of conflict in them. I think that sometimes if relationships are going too well, some of us even deliberately add conflict to the relationship. So I think we can take a view that conflict is kind of the spice, it's the pepper, it's the tasty bit of a relationship, and thereby a big relational system, like a school, like a classroom, should be a place that has a little bit of conflict. And our determination should be not to prevent it, but to help our kids have their way by modelling it for them, by choosing our way. There's a fabulous presenter that I saw many, many years ago. Actually, it's two presenters called Michael and Shah Henderson. And they spoke to the notion of their relationship, their marriage, and the way that they use the rules in their marriage, their way of working, to teach big corporates, you know, like your big sort of blue chip companies and their stuffed male, pale and stale suits, how to do conflict more effectively in their big competitive organisations. And they tell them the most important thing in any relationship, in any relational system, is to have a way, and theirs is that when they fight, holds barred, but they do it holding hands. Now, I have to admit that myself and my wife have had that chat and gone, probably not. That's not going to be our way of resolving conflict, and that's not their point. Their point is, have your way. And so through this module, Kirsty and I will be presenting for you a way that you can replicate no matter the conflict that shows up. But the first important thing to do is to say what we're going to do is to cast aside this preventative attitude, and we're going to move forward with our way, which is going to be past, present, future. We reckon there's a multitude of skills that you can use once you choose that attitude. Second attitude that I really need you to get rid of is this judicial sort of competitive attitude that we have around conflict, which is the idea that if something goes wrong, if conflict shows up, someone's got to pay or someone has to lose. And what we want you to do is to take the attitude that it would be better if we could treat conflict as an opportunity to teach our kids how to compromise, teach them how to even bet on each other when they don't get their way. This is an attitude that's been brought to bear by a clever fellow who in a lot of ways isn't the best role model for schools or teachers to take advantage of, a guy called Jeff Bezos, you might have heard of, who runs Amazon. And he has this view in his executive team that when conflict comes along, it's okay for someone, whether they've got a position of seniority or not, to say to the other person, you know what, can you bet on me anyway? Can you just say, on this one, I'll park it, I'll give you all my energy, even if I think you're wrong, and we'll just see what happens. And this is a much better attitude sometimes than trying to have half of my needs met while half of your needs are met, because what we think we can do is provide a solution, lots of energy from all the people, and be okay with whether it works or not. And that means that what we're doing as a team is saying that we're not so hung up on the outcome of conflict as we are on doing it really well. Now, losing the competitive, losing the judicial is critically important. Now, how does this apply to us in schools? I actually think the attitude we can take here is that we can adore conflict. I think we can say that when conflict shows up, it's young people learning a critically important life skill. That we can actually take the view, and this will sound a little dangerous as teachers, that occasionally the kids can fight it out. I saw this recently when I was in one of our partner schools where I was walking on yard duty with one of our teachers, and we saw some conflict happening amongst a group of students who were playing cricket. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it's quite a miracle if a group of, say, 10 or 12 students can play a game of cricket without an umpire and not have much conflict going on. But that's what these kids were doing. And then some showed up. They had a disagreement about whether one of the students was out or not who was batting. And the teacher said, we better get over there. And I said, I don't think so. Let's stand back, let's have a look, let's see what happens. And what we saw was some wonderful negotiation happen between the students. What we saw was the students sort of get over the past part and come up with new rules and new ways of working for the future. And we saw these students learn not only how to resolve a current conflict, but to build the skill of being able to handle conflict for themselves in the future. And when your students are capable of handling conflict for themselves, by themselves, your workload in terms of handling conflict in the school comes down. It's all in your attitude.